Neal Boortz sitting in for Tom Houck. The number's 231-1977. I want to hear from you.
Just about all states and all federal governments are bearing down on. Well, you were talking about gambling.
Yeah.
And drugs, smuggling drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know that is not part of the gross national product. So that necessarily means that the lower poverty line, which it also means that there's a misrepresentation of the people unemployed. So if it was all legalized, then there would be lower property, there'd be lower taxes, lower property taxes, lower taxes all around.
Yeah.
Plus you would have more people actually in the job market that are not actually in the job market now, according to the statistics.
You'd also have more jobs.
That's right, you would also have more jobs.
Now, I tell you what, and because of the fact that you would have more jobs, that's one reason why the Democrats would never support it.
You're right there.
Because they thrive on unemployment statistics, and the better the unemployment statistics look, the worse the Democrats like it, so that just kills our whole idea right there then.
It sure does. But, you know, with the black market in there, you do have more money in.
Now you're bringing race into it. People always...
I didn't say the market downtown. I meant the black market as a whole, as underground market.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to put downtown in that phrase.
No,
I meant the underground market.
Obviously one of those nights.
But there are a number of people that would be employed through the black market, the underground market, I should say.
If it were not illegal, there would be no underground market.
That's true. So you know, I feel that this guy and his amendment that he wants to put in there is going to do a little bit to the 14th Amendment.
How's that?
Okay, it says here, invade the debt, for one thing, public debt. In other words, if you owe somebody some money, even if it's just interest on something,
yeah,
then there's no way under that bill that one person can make a claim against you.
Why not?
Why not? Because according to that bill, my lawyer could get me out of that.
Now wait a minute. Wait a minute. If somebody owes you money and they come after you under the law for that money, they do not come after you under criminal statutes. They come after you under civil statutes.
Yeah, but there was no crime. This was victimless crime.
Well, there doesn't have to be a crime. Owing somebody money and not paying it to them is not a crime now.
Okay.
It is an injustice. It is a wrong that can be remedied through the civil courts, though, not the criminal courts.
Uh-huh. Okay. Say you pay back the principal interest, the principal on your loan. What about this interest that it's not actually? There's no crime there because I didn't borrow the interest from you. I borrowed the principal from you.
No, but when you borrowed the principal from me, you signed a piece of paper agreeing to pay me back the principal plus interest. So you are in violation of an agreement which you made and which another party can go to court and force you to abide by. And it's completely outside of the criminal statutes. Let's go to this next Decatur line. You're on.
Yes, sir, Mr. Boortz.
Indeed.
To go back a little bit to some of the other comments that were made earlier. First of all, nobody has a right to a job. You have every right in the world to pursue a job.
Yeah.
But you don't. Nobody owes you a job, and that brings.
Tell that to Gary Hart.
Well, that brings to mind that commercial that was running for a while, and that was some woman was saying, "I want justice. I want a job." Well, my comment to her is, I would look past the TV section and the comic section and go to the business section and start circling the one ads like most of the other people in the world do. As far as the solicitor in Fulton County, his problem was he was busting a couple of porn shops. He arrested, a couple of cashiers and a couple of managers, and he wasn't getting a whole lot of press because, quite frankly, myself and I imagine most of the other people
who cares
are Henson McCulloughed out, you know?
Yeah.
So, who cares, you know? So he has to go after the rich folk from West Paces Ferry Road.
I can go downtown. I can go any number of different places in Fulton County tomorrow, and I can find roulette wheels for sale.
Sure.
Now, why in the world isn't Mr. Webb out there throwing those folks in jail for selling gambling devices?
Because he won't make front page.
Maybe so.
Because he didn't. What he did was he stepped on a lot of rich people's toes, and he interrupted a big charity organization.
What does he have to gain by stepping on rich folks?
He got publicity, and he's been in office for a while, and everybody's kind of forgotten about the solicitor's office, and he thought, well, he'd make some waves, and he did for a while, and he made a horse's patoot out of himself as far as I'm...
Goodness, such language.
Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, there's kids listening.
Okay, also...
Can't say that in front of the KIDS.
Also, as far as everyone's rights, I'll give you an example. I was riding down the road, and this guy rode up next to me at a red light, and he had his radio on real loud.
Yeah.
And I asked him to turn it down because I wasn't really interested in what he was listening to. And he said it was his First Amendment right to play his radio as loud as he wanted. And I formally pointed out to him that his constitutional rights ended where mine were violated.
I bet he was impressed by that, wasn't he?
I don't think he understood what I was talking about.
Probably not. The music was too
And
loud.
also, the last guy that called about getting stopped in Avondale, I'll give you a clue. The car that you're talking about that always sits there,
There's usually nobody in it.
right, that's the mayor's car. But don't let it fool you, because every once in a while he gets out and about. But,
Oh, does he go sit in it every once in a while and wait?
yeah, I think what he does is he just cranks it up to keep the battery going.
Best thing to do is just not to drive through Avondale.
Well, you can drive through Avondale, but I wouldn't suggest speeding through there, because there's not a whole lot of crime in Avondale. So those guys have to, they have to keep their.
They got to do something to relieve the monotony.
Well, they got to justify their salary somehow, so they bust unsuspecting non-Avondale residents. And
Yeah.
so, but anyway, that car belongs to the mayor, and that house is right across the street.
Well, now let's not identify where the mayor lives. I mean, we don't want to have pickets outside his house or anything like that. 231-1977, 16 and 1/2 minutes after 9 o'clock Monday evening on WGST in Northwest Atlanta. You're on the air.
Yes. Neal?
Right.
I just wanted to say something about the casino night, Mr. Webb.
Yeah.
A couple of things that kind of have kept me wondering about what's going on. Number one, I guess, is that that casino night had been going on for 3 years in a row.
Oh, I've been to a few.
Yeah, and this year they decided to, press the law on that. And assuming that Mr. Webb is a nice guy,
He's a perfect gentleman.
Right.
Very pleasant person.
what group of people could apply pressure to him to force his hand on this?
It's not really him. He has choosed. He has selected an interpretation of the law that I do not agree with, and that other people do not agree with, and of course some people do agree with. The recourse now for the citizens is to get into the General Assembly and say, look, we do have groups in this city that are doing good work, that use this as a fundraising gesture or scheme, and nobody's rights are violated. Why not pass some sort of a law that puts a loophole in the law, an obvious loophole, for charitable purposes? But that I kind of had mixed emotions at that. When's the last time you went to the High Museum?
I think it was about 2 years ago.
Did you see some of the stuff they got hanging in there?
Yes.
Now, I've got a theory. I have no talent at all. I am the most talent-barren person you will ever meet in your life. When it comes to a work of art, if I can copy it, it ain't art. Okay? I can copy that stuff they got at the High Museum.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not art, and I really am afraid of what horrible assaults on our senses might have been launched by the High Museum had they received even more money out of their fundraising than they did.
Well, true, but even if you don't like the art there, the casino nights are going on for other organizations also.
Oh, that's so true, and so many of them very worthy. And I may not be fond of the art at the High Museum, but if I really want to get an intellectual stimulation and some absolutely fantastic works of art, I can just always go to the Atlanta airport. I mean, it's just unparalleled. Or the Richard V. Russell Federal Building. Look at the drop cloth. Those places are unparalleled. I just stand in awe of them. Just beautiful, beautiful works of art. Goodness, I'm jealous of the talent of those people. Or, as a matter of fact, since we've been on that for about an hour, anything else that might tickle your fancy. Just give us a call here, and we're going to go to the lines and see what evil lurks behind this line from Tucker. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Howdy there, Neal.
Well, hello there.
Howdy there, honey, but I'm from Alpharetta.
Well, I pushed the wrong button. I cannot apologize to you enough.
Honey, that's all right.
I
I
used-
will tell you about this high museum stuff. You remember when they brought that thing in that they sold it, they done thrown away, that cost the state or the county or something some $15,000 because they didn't hang it up at the right martyr place?
No, wait a minute. You're not talking about the drop cloth at the Russell building, are
That's
you?
what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I knew you'd straighten it out for me.
That's one of the funniest episodes I've ever seen in
I
my
ain't
life.
never heard nothing no better than that. I tell you right now.
You know, I was at the airport last night. Have you been to the airport lately?
Oh, yeah, but I tell you right now, I don't know which ones I've seen and which ones I hadn't, because everything down there looks like a monstrosity.
Well, now, you've seen this. This is when you go through the metal detectors. You know the one that picked out the plate in your head last week?
Oh, shucks, yes.
Yeah, no.
I've had that beep, yeah.
Right. I had the plate in my head changed to plastic. I go to the airport so much, and it was causing me so much problems. But anyway, when you go down that first set of escalators,
Yeah.
you know all those neon things hanging on the wall?
Oh, yeah, shucks, yeah.
Did you know that was art?
Heavens, no, I didn't know that was
If I'm lying, I'm damned. That's art. Now, I was there last night. I was there last night, and you know some of those neon things are starting to die. They're going out.
Huh?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Let me tell you.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. And let me tell you something, honey. Next time you ask somebody about them there senators and people like that, ask them if they know who the governor is.
Can't we try to forget?
Do it for me, honey.
Okay.
All righty.
Be good. Now I'll be a good person. Try to go to Tucker. Get the right line here. Go ahead.
Hey, Neal.
Hello, kitty litter.
How you do?
I'm doing fine.
Well, I swear to goodness, you've hit on one of my favorite subjects.
What's that?
The government. Talk about a multitude of sins. What was it they said? I'm searching for a word. We have not given you a democracy. What was it? We've given you a republic.
A republic, yes.
A republic, okay.
A democracy is a hideous form of government.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
But people still persist in thinking that we have a democracy.
Well, that's because people don't know the difference.
And furthermore, people seem to think that we have mob rule, which is a democracy, only legalized as far as I'm concerned.
Right, exactly right.
And the reason I bring this up is because I had a very interesting situation a couple of weeks ago. I had a house listed that sold.
You better tell everybody that you are one of the hordes of bored housewives that has been turned loose on the public as a real estate agent.
Neal, I'm coming over to your house and do something to you. Now, you just keep that up, I'll fix you good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be very fair to you, Kitty. I listed my house with you and you sold it. You were very good.
Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Well, this house had an apartment in the basement.
Had to cut the price in half, but
Ah,
go ahead.
you devil. This house had a very beautiful apartment in the basement.
Yeah,
That was occupied by the former owner's parents.
right.
This is very complex, but what it boils down to is some of the neighbors maintained that these people were maintaining a duplex because it had two kitchens. And they were going to make the DeKalb County was going to make them rip out the entire kitchen before the house closed. Well, I went over there to the courthouse with all guns blazing and asked them if a house had two kitchens and that constituted a duplex, it had 4 bathrooms, did that constitute a bathhouse? Anyhow, I think it is a gross outrage for anyone to tell a man what he can do within his own walls of his home. And this, to me, was the biggest outrage of all.
I agree with you.
I mean, what in the world difference does it make to a living soul whether somebody next door has two kitchens or not?
Well, maybe they just, I think it's either in Decatur or in DeKalb County. If you own a house in Decatur or in DeKalb County or somewhere out there,
Yeah.
and you've got a garage apartment, for instance, and you've been renting that garage apartment out for 20 years,
Yeah.
if that garage apartment becomes vacant, you'd better not let it stay vacant for over a year.
Well, you better not let it stay vacant for less than that in DeKalb County.
Is it less than that? Because if you do, then all of a sudden you will have lost your legal right to ever rent that garage apartment to another soul so long as you shall live.
That's exactly right. I think it's 90 days.
90 days?
I think so.
Well, I'd put somebody in there at $1 a month if I had to.
Yeah, I would too. But
You're right, Kitty. It is. A man should be able, so long as he is not infringing with another or upon another person's right to use their property to their benefit, should not be told what he can and what he cannot do with his property. But people persist in doing that, wanting to tell their neighbor what he can and can't do in his own home and on his own property.
exactly. And people are skirting the issue. They are skipping around it. New homes, if someone wants their family parents to live with them, they will, and they're building a new house, they will have to get around it thusly. They will have to build the entire house and not put a stove in the kitchen until after the closing.
Yeah.
Because they say that constitutes a duplex. And
Do you know that the structures that most of our founding fathers lived in when this country was founded would be illegal in this day and age? You could not build them and live in. If you tried to, the government would take you and jam you in jail.
That's right. That's right.
We've come a long way, haven't we, Kitty?
We really have, and it's just absolutely disgusting. But I'll tell you one thing. If that hadn't gotten straightened out, I was going to show up at the county commission with a computer printout of about 50 houses with 2 kitchens in them and see what happened after that.
You would have really made a dear, sweet name for yourself with that act.
I know it.
Talk to you later, Kitty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to go to downtown for our next phone call. You're on WGST. Go ahead.
Super Neal.
Goodness gracious.
Stay to the line. You're the tallest in Atlanta, you booger, you. You booger, you.
Oh, I haven't.
Now, listen, I'm in a hurry. Now, guess how old I am.
73.
Man, you guessed it right. To come in August 18, I'll be 73. You booger, you.
Congratulations. A voice from the past. That dear, sweet lady's going to be 73 years old. And I want all you folks out there to wish her a happy birthday on August the 18th. 29 and a half minutes after 9 o'clock, and we're going to be back. I got to go compose myself. We got 30 minutes of this nonsense left. Neal Boortz sitting in for Tom Houck. The number's 231-1977. I want to hear from you. By the way, I'm only sitting in for Tom Houck tonight on WGST, but for those of you that are really into self-punishment, you might want to tune in every afternoon around 4:10, where I do a regular afternoon 90-second or so commentary here on WGST 5-6 times a week, and maybe 2 or 3 of those times it's actually interesting. 231-1977 is the number. Let's go to Brookwood for our next call, and you're on the line. Go ahead.
Yes. They made me turn off the radio, so I couldn't hear what you're talking about lately, but...
Oh, we just ran a couple of important messages from our sponsor.
Okay, well, tell me about this safe streets and...
Oh, it's a philosophy professor down there in Miami. He became enraged recently when a man who had participated in several contract killings and put a bomb on a commercial airliner that killed 73 people, he was given immunity from prosecution for testifying against a group of dope dealers. And the guy thought, this philosophy professor said, what in the world is going on here? And so he thought that in the case of the bombed airliner that some people's rights were violated, in the case of dealing dope that nobody's rights were violated, and he proposes that in order to put the emphasis on crime fighting where it should be, that we should have a constitutional amendment which states that no act shall be considered a criminal offense by the states or by the federal government unless it violates the natural rights of individuals. Kind of a radical idea.
Well, it is, but 2 questions.
Yeah.
Has anyone proposed it in Congress? Does it have a House bill or anything?
Oh, no. This is just the maniacal ravings of some obscure philosophy professor right now. But if I were up there, I'd propose it. I'd just like to drive it in a parking lot and see if it could dent any fenders.
Well, and second of all, how does he define natural rights?
That's what we've been dealing with tonight. To me, natural rights are life, liberty, and property. You have a right to your life. You have a right to be free to live it as you choose, and you have a right to keep the product of your labor.
Are we saying we're getting back to founding fathers and going even further, John Locke and those kind of people?
Wouldn't that be horrible? Don't you know how panic-stricken the people of this country would get if we actually suggested that they should be free?
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I have to admit that it is a unique notion in this day and time.
It is that. I mean, people are afraid to be free, and people saying, oh, Boortz, you jerk, making a statement like, but I'll defend that one. People, and that means thousands of them that are listening to my voice right now are scared to death of freedom.
Well, and apparently they seem to be afraid of owning property as well.
Afraid of what?
Owning property as well.
Yeah. Yeah, why own when you can rent?
Yeah, well, that isn't what I meant, but that's a good point.
Indeed.
Well, I'm really curious, is this going to be covered by any of our media, or are you the only one that's tuned in on this?
Page 52, current issue of Playboy.
Ah.
There you go.
Well,
Now, be sure, my friend, that that's the only thing you look at in there.
well, is Hal Gulliver going to about it?
Hal Gulliver, are you kidding? The idea would be poison to that man. He'd sooner bathe in dioxin.
Well, that's why I brought it up.
Okay, be good.
You did.
Meteorologist Peter McGurk. No, Jeff Latham's in tonight, calling for a partly cloudy night. The overnight low in the low 70s. Tomorrow, partly sunny and a chance of showers, the high near 92. 77 degrees here at the News Center in Northeast Atlanta, 78 at Hartsfield International. It's 9:34. I'm Gene Michaels. Now more of WGST tonight and our guest host, Neal Boortz. Neal?
What a voice, Gene.
Years of practice.
What a voice. Can't believe it.
Years of misinformation or something, huh?
Great. Okay, let's see. 25 minutes left of this, whatever it is. Tom Houck's probably sitting by his radio this evening, fully realizing how safe his job is. As I sit in for him, numbers 231-1977, and let's see, Mike, where should we go next? Which one of these people should we... Okay, Peachtree Hills. That's what it'll be, and you're on. Go ahead.
Okay, Neal, I want to ask you about one statement that you made and how you would go about doing it. And
You're not going to make me back up a statement, are you?
No, well, I just want to ask you how you said this. You said that that the law should have a loophole in it that would permit gambling for charitable organizations.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you got to decide what is a charitable organization.
Well, let the IRS do that. Excuse me, I swore a couple of years ago I wouldn't use the phrase IRS anymore. It's the IRP, the Internal Revenue Police. Let them determine if they have an exemption with the Internal Revenue Police, then we'll just go ahead and consider them to be charitable.
Yeah, well, then another point would be, what about a lot of these so-called charities that have a lot of people, maybe 10% goes to some charity and the rest of it goes in fees for the people that run this so-called.
Well, I think we've got a definite problem there, but how do we deal with it?
Puts everybody in a judgment situation, and it's just not, it's kind of complicated to...
I've got the solution.
Yeah, what is that?
The solution is that if somebody goes out and bets... Look at it this way. Do you own any stock?
No, not exactly.
Okay, well, you know, if a guy he's got $5,000, he's going to go out and buy stock. Now, why is he buying that stock?
Yeah, he's hoping it's going to go up.
What if it goes down?
Well, then he sits there and sweats.
Why does a man bet on a horse?
He wants to win.
He hopes it'll win.
Yeah.
What if it doesn't?
Yeah, well, he loses his money.
What's the difference?
What do you mean, what's the difference?
What's the difference between a man buying 100 shares of IBM hoping it'll go up
Oh, no, I agree.
and a guy betting on a horse hoping it'll win? It shouldn't be a crime. The simplest solution to the whole thing is just to get rid of the laws that says it's illegal.
I'm not anti-gambling. I'm just trying to find out, you know, what we really could do. For instance, what could Solicitor Webb, what kind of a statement could he have made to the press if he had agreed that it was all right for the High Museum to have the game?
I can't tell you what he could say to the press. Now, let us imagine, and this is a ridiculous assumption, but let us imagine that Neal Boortz got tired of the private practice of law and decided to run for Fulton County Solicitor, which he couldn't do because he lives in DeKalb County, but let's say that I did, okay?
Okay.
And then let's say that Marjorie Holder, the sharp news person from WGST News Radio 92, comes storming into my office and says, Mr. Boortz, they're going to be gambling at the High Museum. And I'll say, gee, do you have any tickets? Now, she'll say, well, what do you think about this? And I'll say, well, when the General Assembly passed laws against gambling, it was obviously not their intention to prevent charitable organizations from having fundraising events using play money. I'm not going to do a darn thing about it.
But see, right there, you put yourself in a judgment situation, and you'd have to judge on everything that came across your desk.
Every law enforcement officer out there, as long as you have crimes that aren't really crimes, as long as you have crimes on the books for which there is no victim, it puts them all in a judgment situation.
Well, that's true.
You know, and I just think, you know, his judgment was different than mine would have been. I don't fault James Webb. He might have honestly said, you know, this is distasteful, but it's my job.
Yeah, but you know, if he agreed, then all sorts of different thinking people would have been down on top of him about allowing gambling.
Are you talking about the fundamentalists?
Yeah, the fundamentalists.
Goodness, I love it. Let them get in the lather. I like to see those people upset and bothered. Okay?
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right.
The number is 231-1977. Let me see if I can figure out what I did here. Okay. These phones are still a little bit foreign to me. You know, and I got to be very careful. There's a strike on, you know. I could just blow the whole system right off the air. Morningside, you're on WGST.
Hello, Neal.
Hello.
How are you?
Better than nothing.
Oh, well, great. Listen, may I ask you a question, please? How about food stores playing bingo? Is that against the law?
Food stores play bingo?
Yes, uh-huh.
In what section? What aisle?
No, really. You know, you win things.
Oh, I know, but there's no purchase necessary.
Oh.
You see, that's the key. You can walk into a food store and say, give me a bingo card.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll give you one. You don't have to buy anything. Therefore, you are not putting up anything of value.
Oh.
You see.
Well, I just wanted to know if I was doing right.
Well, that's why, for instance, if you have some sort of a contest where you have to fill in the entry blank or you have to send in a proof of purchase or something, let's say that it was for lava soap for your complexion, well, you don't have to actually send them a lava wrapper. You can write the word lava down on a piece of paper and send it, and that's just as good. That's just trying to get around the idea that you have to spend any money on any product in order to engage in their little game of chance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly do thank you lots, Neal.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
231-1977. I am learning that phone number. We're going to go to Dunwoody for the next call, and you're on the air.
Hello, Neal.
Yes, sir.
About this discrimination suit against that lady put against that station.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was totally. I think the station manager has the right to make a judgment of who gets on and for what reason to anchor the news. I think if the lady was old and her appeal was rather gone, and people voted didn't think she was very attractive, I think she should have been. I think the station manager had all the rights in the world to, eliminate her from the format.
The key to that situation is that the jury found that she was a victim of fraud.
Oh.
Not of discrimination.
I see.
But of fraud.
I just hear bits and pieces of it. What was the fraud involved?
Okay, let's say.
I think I remember. Yeah.
They let's say that I was a station manager and I had the young lady Christine Kraft sitting across the table from me, and I said, "Now look, Chris Kraft." I said that name will never float, and then by that time she'd start laughing at me and leave anyway. But I'd say, "You are an attractive lady, but if the viewers ever start to feel that you are not attractive, we are going to replace you."
Yeah.
Then she would have no cause of action in my mind whatsoever. But instead, that manager apparently said, "Your looks have nothing to do with it. We love you because of your mind." And then he went back on that. In other words, he knew that that wasn't true, and he intended that she be defrauded by that statement, and she was damaged, so she got him.
Well, how did she substantiate him making that statement? How did she prove that?
I don't know.
Because, he could have just lied again and said he didn't make it, and it'd be her word against his.
Maybe witnesses to the conversations, maybe other parties. I'm not.
Okay, well, I see all right, but I just want to make the point that if the ladies are not too attractive, they should go. What would you have a wrinkled Barbara Walters?
I don't know. Bubble.
I mean, in another 10 years, would you like to see her on the air?
I think that, unfortunately, TV news is more show business than news business.
Yeah, that's right.
And if I was hiring the young lady, I think that the thing to do is to be honest. Say, look, you're very attractive, and we're going to have all these men sitting there watching the news at night. not so much interested in the situation in Chad as they are in you, and the minute you lose that appeal, we're going to replace you.
I think that's laid down at the start. That's the contract. Your good looks we're paying for, nothing else.
Absolutely.
And then when that runs out, you're fired.
By the way, whatever did happen to Debbie Norville?
The one who was, had the suit?
No. The one that was with Channel 5. She's in Chicago. When's the next plane?
I don't know about Debbie Norville. I never watched Channel.
Oh, you missed out.
I probably did.
Take care.
Okay.
Be good. Boy, that was quite sexist of me, wasn't it, Mike? Don't you agree? Yeah, well, that's the breaks. 231-1977. We're going to go to North Fulton for this next call. You're on the air.
Neal.
Yeah.
It's great to have you back on the air. Just want to ask you, please remind this station that what happened to the last one when you left the air.
Look, I'm just sitting in tonight.
Well, that's all right.
No, I'm just sitting in because Tom Houck had tickets to Melissa Manchester and did not want to miss it, and so I'm sitting in fine tonight.
It's great. I don't agree with you on most of the things you say, but I just absolutely love hearing you say it.
Well, I can't ask for much more than that.
Thank you.
Okay, that's most of the people that know me very well would agree with you. And we're going to go to Tucker. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. You the one they call Big Daddy?
Yeah.
Now we got two bona fide characters from Tucker, Kitty Litter and Big Daddy.
Oh, yeah. Kitty Litter, she's a legend. And I heard her voice, and I said, well, I can't let Kitty Litter get ahead of me.
Are you aware that I am a resident of your fair city?
I most assuredly am aware of that. As a matter of fact, I've got there's a dead possum in your mailbox. There's a dead possum in your mailbox waiting for you. I did not freeze it. I figured that you wanted him right.
Oh, boy, somewhere in Tucker, somebody's going hungry tonight.
But you are also an attorney over in Decatur, aren't you?
Oh, no, my office is in Tucker. You know how many Tucker residents it takes to eat a possum, by the way?
I'm not going to get it.
No, it takes two. One has to watch for traffic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But go ahead.
But at any rate, this is very serious. I'm always a very serious caller. And I always like to get on the Lone Ranger up in Washington.
Who's that?
The Lone Ranger.
Oh, you mean Ronnie?
You mean that you don't know that Reagan is referred to as the Lone Ranger?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know that. He's my hero, you know.
Oh, he is?
Oh, yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Neal. There's another mark against you. You get two possums. Tomorrow night you get one too.
Hey, consider the alternative. If Reagan wasn't there right now, who would be there right now?
Let me tell you, I would feel so much more comfortable if Jimmy, with all his teeth, were there instead of the Lone Ranger, because he should let this be a lesson to him down in Guatemala.
Uh-huh.
You know, they change governments down there every weekend.
Like I do underwear.
He's liable to get right in the midst of his military operation down there. His, I don't know what he calls it, but he's liable to get in that, and they're liable to change governments on him while he's having his little demonstration of military power.
You know, the problem with those people around there in Nicaragua is that they go around with clenched fists all the time. You know how hard it is to shake hands with somebody whose fist is clenched?
True, but I'm really not worried about anybody south of Mexico, and I'm really not, I don't expect Mexico to whip us right away, nor Cuba.
Not again. No, we still remember the Alamo. I miss Jimmy too, though, sir. I have to admit that to you. The old days of double-digit inflation bring back many fond memories. We'll be back for the final segment on WGST right after this word.
And I just wanted you to know that I really do love you more than death itself.
I know who you are, you little devil.
No, not a devil. I'm an angel.
Oh, sure. You love me more than death itself.
I truly
and
do.
You want me to know that wherever I go, I'll be there.
You took it. you took my line.
Don't you have anything better to do with your time right now than to call up and harass a poor bewildered talk show host?
Well, was wanting to do was to call up and help you out, but obviously on your premiere night, you're doing so famously that it has taken me 2 hours just to get through, because everybody else in Atlanta and New York and Miami wanted to talk to you too.
Well, knowing the company you keep, you had nothing better to do with your time.
Wrong. Wrong. Well, listen, I know you have a lot of people that want to say hello and goodbye and wish you well tonight.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And I just wanted you to know that I was thinking about you on your big night.
That just causes me to be warm all over.
Well, good. You have a better tomorrow.
I will. It couldn't help but be.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We go to Midtown for the next phone call, and you're on WGST.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Had to get a word in edgewise on your great sit-in radio comeback.
We'll let you get it in frontwise. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I got to agree with you that President Reagan is one of my favorite people. Not one of my top two. That's Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Winston Churchill, respectively.
What about Ayn Rand?
Oh. Next question.
A little deep, huh? Okay.
No. I'm familiar with the Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged.
My heroes, if I have heroes, I think that my premier hero is Rocky Aoki.
Rocky Aoki. Was he the Japanese writer who committed seppuku?
No.
In the 60s?
No. Rocky Aoki, A-O-K-I.
Aoki sounds like a Japanese name.
It is. Rocky is very Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Rocky Aoki came to this country in many years ago with a Japanese wrestling team, and left that team to run to be a parking lot attendant in New York City. He's one of my heroes.
A wrestler. Okay, well,
he now owns all the Benihana's restaurants, by the way.
Okay, well, the thing about the natural rights, I've been listening some and chewing over it, and that word natural just is the hook in the fish's mouth.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that rights were something that were defined in the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Lyndon Johnson got hooked when he was in college, when he was asked to write an essay about the government's responsibilities under the Constitution for toward education.
Yeah.
And he wrote about the government's role in education, et cetera. Got an F. There's nothing in the Constitution about education.
That's easy to believe.
So
Lyndon Johnson.
Nobody is guaranteed a high school education as a right under the Constitution.
Absolutely.
I don't think most of your readers understand that.
But what they are guaranteed is if they want to pursue it, I have no right to prevent them from doing so.
There's no right under what I think is a right as being defined in the first 10 amendments.
You know what the biggest joke on individual rights that I've heard recently? You remember a long time ago they had this weather gal at Channel 11 called Gail Janus or something like that?
Gail Janus, yeah.
Yeah, you been here that long?
Over 10 years.
Okay, fine. Now, Southern Bell or whoever in the world has our phone system plugged in now, I can't keep track of it, I don't have a scorecard, but they have this idea about measured service that they're discussing with the Public Service Commission, right? Well, Gail is a spokesperson now for some group called, let me tap my memory here, it's getting awfully late at night, the Idealist Committee, in opposition to the measured service. Anyway, she did a guest editorial on TV a couple of weeks ago where she said, now we're talking about the rights of individuals.
Yeah.
She said that people have the right to communicate inexpensively. That's the 11th article of the Constitution. I remember it, but until she mentioned it, I had forgotten it, where it says, the right of the people to communicate inexpensively shall not be abridged by the states or the federal government.
Oh, and my great-grandfather used the Pony Express. Darn it, did he miss out on some things?
I know it. All the time he had a right to communicate inexpensively.
I have one very quick thing. I know time is getting short. I was reading a book called Time Enough for Love by Robert Heinlein, the same guy who wrote Stranger in a Strange Land.
World of Null A, too, but go ahead.
Okay, in the book just cuts away into the hero, a fellow by the name of Lazarus Long, called The Notebook of Lazarus Long.
Okay, we got to make this very quick. I got another column.
Yeah. Here's one paragraph from his notebook. Any government will work if authority and responsibility are equal and coordinate. This does not ensure quote-unquote good government. It simply ensures that it will work. But such governments are rare. Most people want to run things, but want no part of the blame. This used to be called the backseat driver syndrome, end quote.
Good quote. We'll cogitate on that for a while. I got time to squeeze one more in, but you're going to have to take about 30 seconds with this one. Go ahead.
Okay, I wish I was calling from Gulf Gulf, but anyway, natural rights are rights which are existing in the absence of government.
Very good.
Right. But also, I want to mention that if I could, the Mexico oil situation will end up being sort of like the San Sebastian mine in Atlas Shrugged. And that, I think that will have a scenario. I know this is deviating a little bit, but the... Uh-oh, what happened?
No, just, sir, I hate to do this to you. We've run out of time. You brought up Atlas Shrugged. I tell you what, the next time I sit in for Tom Houck, we'll sit here and read Atlas Shrugged. So all you know what we're talking about. And in all seriousness, I do appreciate Tom asking me to sit in for him again this evening. I hope he enjoyed his night off. And I want to thank Mike Goff for running things, Gene Michaels for his help with the news, and Al Ullman for setting this whole thing up. My name is Neal Boortz. Listen for the commentary every afternoon at 4:10, and you people have a very, very pleasant evening. Thank you so much for listening and calling.